Hello and welcome to For Pet's Sake, Feeding Them Well. I'm Lisa Faulkner, and in this series, we're diving into the world of pet nutrition, exploring what we feed our pets, why it matters, and how it impacts their health, happiness, and general well-being. Hannah Stifall is an award-nominated wildlife filmmaker, TV presenter, and conservationist, best known for her work on BBC programmes like Springwatch and The One Show. You only have to visit her Instagram page to see the incredible wildlife footage she's captured and to see that animal welfare is something incredibly close to Hannah's heart. She's here with her beautiful white German Shepherd, Isabelle, who we're thrilled to have on the podcast. And joining them is Dr. Brendan Clarke, raw feeding advocate and vet expert. He'll be sharing his insights on keeping our pets healthy and happy. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank
so
you.
nice being here, isn't it?
Thank you so much for having us. This is Isabelle's first time in a studio, and she seems to be taking it in her stride.
I was going to say
up on the sofa.
Yeah, she's very chilled. I love you, Isabelle. She is the most beautiful dog. And Rory, who's sitting here next to me, they seem to get on quite well. I mean, they've sniffed each other. They've not had any arguments
Yet.
They both seem very chilled. Hannah, it's lovely to have you here, and of course, Brendan. But I just wanted to ask you, first of all, how long have you had Isabelle?
I have had Isabelle, well, she's 7 now. I rehomed her when she was about 8 months old. So the lady that had her, lovely, lovely lady, just couldn't look after her. So I took her on when she was, 8 months old. And I remember I took her to the beach for the first time, the first day I had her. And because this lady, bless her, she hadn't really walked her a lot.
Right.
And we live in Cornwall, so the beach is just there. And I remember the first time her paws touched the sand and she did a jump back. And as if to look at me, as if to say, what is this substance? And then that was it. We love to go to the beach every single day.
Does she swim? Does she go in the sea?
She's not really a swimmer because I'm not really a swimmer.
Okay.
I think if I was, then she would. Although my boyfriend, he goes in, she goes in with him.
Your life, I mean, your Instagram is one of the most beautiful Instagrams I've ever seen. And I sort of fallen in love with looking at all this wildlife and all the bunnies. I mean, it's just beautiful. But how did you get into it?
Oh, goodness me. So I did zoology at university. And originally I wanted to be a vet. That's what I wanted to do when I was a teenager. And then I realised the blood and the gore, like, it's not for me. I can't even watch horror movies. Like, that's not for me. And then I realised, well, how do we reach millions of people about messages of conservation? I was like, well, it's through media. So that's when I decided to try and specialise in getting into filmmaking. And whilst I was doing my zoology degree, I found out, Isabelle's off.
Oh, she's off?
She's off.
What do you want, Isabelle?
She's off. So when I was doing my zoology degree, I found out there's a master's in wildlife filmmaking with the BBC Natural History Unit affiliated with it. So I applied to do it, didn't think I'd get in. I'd already applied for a job at Cornwall Wildlife Trust. I thought that's what I'd end up doing, fine. But I got placed in the Masters and the rest is history.
We all sort of look at our pets. We try and sort of work them out. Do you think, obviously your background learning about zoology, but seeing animals in the wild, has that influenced how you look after Isabelle or the signs you look for?
100%. I mean, I've been very lucky to film wild wolves twice. Once, it was 9 years ago, up in Finland, right on the Russian border. I mean, you look out of the hide and there is Russia, so you're in the middle of nowhere. And I went back last year because the alpha female of that pack, she'd given birth to, I think it was 6 or 7 wolf puppies. So I went out there in October. So these puppies, they were, about 9 months old. They were all out together playing. They looked exactly the same as Isabelle, like the exact same colouring, facial features, but it wasn't just how they looked, it was how they behaved as well. Like I said, the playing, the tumbling around with each other, the submissive behaviour, the food guarding, resource guarding. I mean, we've all seen dogs do that in parks, with their balls. These wolves were exactly the same. And of course, domesticated dogs, what is it? They've got it's some 99% of the same DNA as wild wolves,
absolutely.
isn't it? They're
so
only
much of that.
Is that right,
yeah.
Brendan?
So, and that's the thing that a lot of people will dispute. Are they related to wolves? Well, of course, they're descendants from ancestrally the same line, but they split, 100,000 plus years ago. But they still have much of the anatomical structures that you would expect from a wolf. So their jaws still will just chomp up and down to tear bits off. Animals, they will still have a shorter gut, so they can't ferment foods themselves to make nutrients. So yeah, there's so many similarities to the wolf.
When you see animals in the wild and you're watching them hunting, obviously that huge thing for them is food, is digestion. Is there something that you can see that you've taken away, that you've gone, this is the same for Isabelle? This is the same for our dogs.
Of course. I mean, you see animals hunting in the wild, whatever species it is, and they will eat small mammals, rabbits. If it's larger species in Africa, they will hunt down impala, big ungulate species. But it's all natural and it's all wild. Wild species don't have cooked food or ultra processed food, and that's why they function at an optimal level, because they're not filling their bodies with rubbish.
Right. So do they know instinctively, obviously, what to eat, what to go for? That they'll eat bits of vegetables or little fruit things or seeds, do you know what I mean, or berries, as well as animals.
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of work done on, effectively, we call it zoopharmacognosy, being able to know what you need to improve your health. And we've probably lost that because through addiction to sugars and sweets and textural foods, through ultra processing, we have lost a lot of that. But dogs still have that. Even Rory, if you gave them an opportunity to have different foods, she would go round and sniff out which bit she would like that day.
Right. So even though they're domesticated, our dogs have lived with us for years and years and years and years. We've had them as pets, our animals, but cats as well. But we're concentrating on our dogs. Their dietary requirement has not changed in any way.
All of the nutrients that they can get from heart, from liver, from kidney, from stomach lining, to muscle, to joints, all of those feed different nutrients they can get because that animal that's been farmed is healthy and thriving. It will provide all of the nutrients that any carnivore needs to survive.
A completely different diet to a raw diet or a meat diet. It's just very different. It's fascinating.
So the things to remember, our dogs aren't that different structurally to wolves that you've been seeing. They've got all of the teeth that you'd expect, not quite as strong a jaw, but these are now many people worry about these canine teeth, the front ones here, but they literally are for grabbing hold and bringing down prey. Now, our dogs are not going to be doing that, hopefully, in the park or the fields. But the fact is that the rest of the dental structure, you've got basically the carnassial teeth. So these are the teeth that actually slash and allow them to chomp, swallow. As they get the flesh, they can actually scissor that off and be able to tear off big chunks. If they had changed over those 30,000 years, would they still have the teeth like that? They can't actually chew and masticate food from side to side because their jaw is a hinge and it literally just chomps over. I'm not going to hinge your jaw, don't worry.
But I've seen that in the wild wolves, the pack when they were eating, and they literally they just get in and they rip it apart and they swallow it as quickly as possible.
Really?
Because there were golden eagles watching, so they're trying to eat as much as they possibly can before a golden eagle might swoop down and take some of it. So you see it, that kind of that get it in, get it down. And there's not a lot of chewing involved.
Right.
And it's carnage. It is absolute
Yeah.
carnage, but that's what they're meant to do.
What's really fascinating, the things you're saying, is that the dogs straight away, in the wild, the wolves get their food, capture it, kill it, eat it, and it's gone in 60 seconds. Now, my sign for Rory when she's not very well, or if there's something not right, sometimes, you know, I don't feed her dry food anymore, but I did used to feed her when I first got her kibble, and sometimes she just wouldn't eat it. She'd just sniff it and walk off, and I'd think, oh, she's not eating, and I didn't know if she was bored of it but she was not jumping on it and eating. And you should, obviously, as a dog, that's what you should be doing, isn't it?
So it's really interesting, isn't it? Because if you think of certain high processed foods, you know, they try and entice dogs through flavor, through texture, through oils, amino acids, sugars, salts. It's like putting a kid in a sweet shop, you know, to try and make them eat that food. But actually, there's so much more to digestion. And actually, the smells, the scent, the preparation, all of that is quite important to entice a dog into wanting to eat. And that's why it's usual that a lot of my clients will say, oh my God, I put raw food down and they were totally different to having the ultra processed food in a bowl because they were straight in and ate it.
How have watching animals in the wild influenced your feeding, I suppose, of Isabelle and what you think dogs need?
I've always fed her raw because it's, you know, wild dog species, they don't have anything cooked for them, do they? And that was always what I was going to do with her, give her the best thing that she could possibly have for her diet, you know. I mean, I don't have any human children yet. I haven't got round to breeding myself. So she is my daughter, and you wouldn't treat a human child like a waste disposal unit and give them just whatever. And our dogs are part of our family, so I think we treat them and feed them the best that we possibly can.
But it's very interesting that you say you always were going to feed her raw. And I'm sure that comes from learning so much and doing, you know, your zoology degree and knowing all of this stuff that wasn't for me. I just thought, well, dogs have pet food and you just get like a can or, you know, one of those little sachets or dry kibble, which Rory was on for quite a long time. And I think it's really interesting. I didn't know. I thought it said that it had everything for dogs in it. And I thought I was feeding her a really good diet. I hadn't even thought about raw. You know, I did go on a big journey with fresh and then to raw, but I hadn't even thought that was the way forward. So you saying it I sort of feel a bit like, oh my God, I didn't even.
But that's the thing, like, and people don't know. People don't know. Lots of people don't know today what's healthy for us as humans.
Exactly.
And isn't, you know, let alone, you know, a pet for all intents and purposes. But there have been a handful of occasions in emergencies when I've been camping or something and I haven't had any raw food and I've got her, you know, bog standard supermarket shelf food.
Yeah.
And the difference is in the poo.
So I was going to ask you.
Oh my God, honestly. My boyfriend thinks I'm a weirdo because I'm obsessed with her poo. I like to look at it. I like to see what colour it is. Is it firm? Is it robust? Are we all right? Are you okay? Like, I'm obsessed with it. But from having a pure raw diet to then having a can from the supermarket, it's runny, it's smelly, it's like it's next level. And obviously whatever goes in, you see what comes out. And it's one of the best ways to tell the health of your dog, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got to understand the better the digestibility, the better they can utilize that, the more balanced their gut flora is. You know, we all love those little yogurt pots that give us extra flora for our health. Well, you know, we can naturally breed normal bacteria in their guts, which will help their digestion if we feed them appropriately. And for dogs, that's a meat-based diet.
Yeah. And I think there's obviously when you think about them in the wild, they are chewing on bones. You know, they're getting their dental wide. Their teeth are being looked after as well. Everything is being looked after. They know instinctively what to do. When I was younger, when I was like sort of 6, we had a dog, and we used to go and get marrowbone, which now is extortionate and really expensive.
Yeah.
But in the olden days, in the 70s, your butcher would give you marrowbone for the dogs, and they would sit and chew that, and that was okay. But I remember my mum even saying, "Oh, he can't have chicken bones, or he can't have this and can't have that." And is that because it's cooked? It's different.
So there is a reaction that happens at high temperature, that basically the protein and carbohydrates and fats will meld together. It's called a Maillard reaction. But
Right, yes,
basically it causes acrylamides, things that aren't particularly great in your food. You know, the World Health Organization will tell you shouldn't have too many of these acrylamides, but it actually bakes the bone structure so that it becomes, 1, harder, 2, more fragile that it can shatter.
Right.
And also it makes it undigestible. So whereas normal bone isn't actually a solid, dead structure, it is a living structure of cells with collagen. We all love collagen. I'm sure you ladies understand collagen. Okay.
Don't know what you're trying to say.
But it is really important that is then just mineralized collagen within that bone structure. So as soon as they take raw bone, the stomach acid of a dog is designed to be 1,000 times stronger than our stomach acid. So it can sterilize stuff, but it actually helps to demineralize that, to help the protein digestion, which is what collagen is protein within the stomach, so that you actually start to break down that bone structure. So it actually is an important part of their diets. It then goes on, that collagen for carnivores is actually a replacement for fiber. So having bone in their diet is a very good part. Now, for some companies, they grind that up into the diet, and we see that.
I love this. And you were talking, Hannah, about Isabelle's poo,
Yes.
which I am really quite obsessed with too, because it
Yes.
is a way of telling if your dog is healthy, obviously,
100%.
Brendan. But is there anything else that you've noticed about Isabelle feeding her raw? What that shines out that you go, do you know what? This really is a difference to when you've gone camping and you've fed her.
So I just know that she thrives on the diet that she's on through eating raw. And, you can, of course, your dogs, they're going to be fine if you just feed them the normal stuff from the supermarket shelves, but they're going to be fine, but they're not going to thrive.
No.
They're not getting exactly what they need to be at optimal health. And as I said earlier, I think they're part of our family, so we should...
Absolutely. We want them they're our babies. We
Yeah.
want them to thrive, to live as healthier and as long a life as they can.
And also, when I take her to the vets, they always say how good condition her coat is, how good her teeth are, her coat is shiny, and how healthy she is. And that has to be to do with feeding her raw.
Yeah, I have to say, her teeth, when you were looking at her teeth earlier, Brendan, I was thinking, God, Rory could learn a lot from Isabelle's
But it's
teeth.
the same
well.
as us, isn't it? We are what we eat.
Yeah.
Our skin, our hair, our nails, it's all to do with what we put into our bodies. And dogs are exactly the same.
And, feeding some of those natural foods as well, they're much less likely to put excess weight on. They're going to keep a better fit. They're not going to suffer all of the obesity epidemic that we get with ultra-processed foods. So we've got some great things that we can look out for, the health benefits for feeding raw.
And what, Brendan, do you think is there one thing that you wish every person who had a pet knew about nutrition? Is there one thing that you could say, if you know this, then it will change your perception?
I sense he's got a list.
I think
I
so
have
too.
a list. So I think the one thing I would say is there is not one size that fits all. Okay? So the myth that there is a bag of food on that shelf that's going to fulfill every need of your individual pet without them knowing a jot about their lifestyle is an absolute myth. And actually, you do need to feed variety. You know, if you've got a raw food brand, you need to be thinking about not just feeding one part of that, but feeding the range within that. Give them variety.
What's the best thing about having Isabelle for you? What makes her light up for you?
What a question.
I know, because there's so many. That's why when I was saying it, I was thinking, do you know what? I could sit here and talk about Rory forever. But what is it about having her that you love?
Not only is she just a wondrous delight, but she is the best dog I've ever had. It's a type of unconditional love. She's like my daughter. She senses when I'm upset, when I'm sad. You know, if I'm crying, she will come and lick the tears from my face. And I think, as I was saying earlier, you know, just spending time with her it's a total joy, and it's very, very special, you know. And it's also whenever we get the train up to London, it's the only time that anybody smiles at me when in London is when I'm with Isabelle.
Do you find people talk to the dog and they say hello?
Yes.
I always talk to other people's dogs before them.
We make lots and lots of friends. She loves it. She absolutely loves it, because she loves people. She loves being around people. So it is nice. But yeah, so she's just the best dog that I've ever had, and that's why I want to feed her exactly what she needs so that she can thrive and she can live for as long as possible.
Totally get it. I feel exactly the same way. I really do.
Rory is lovely as well.
Yes, but of
obviously.
course, she's your baby, and she's beautiful, and her eyes are so shiny, her coat is so shiny. I mean, she's properly a beautifully looked after
She
baby.
did have a bath before we came to London.
Did she?
Yes.
She looks gorgeous.
She had a bath. She didn't really like the bath. She's just so big, and I have to pick her up and get her in the bath. But she loves being groomed, though.
In your world, what have you seen that's really stuck with you? Is there something that you've seen that you thought, this is why I want to do my job forever?
And I love animals,
Yeah.
all animals, whether it's a dung beetle in Africa to a brown bear in Slovenia. I love all wildlife, and I think that's why I love dogs so much as well.
Amazing. You've got the most extraordinary job. I want to come along with you and see
You
the
can. I need
rabbits
some
and the
help.
foxes.
I need
Please.
some help, to be honest.
Well, I'm there.
Okay.
Hannah and Brendan, thank you for coming. It's been fascinating. I literally feel like I want to take away so much from this, and as well as come on safari with you and Isabelle, go to the beach with you. I've got a new best friend if you want one.
There's a job opening. I will have to run it past her, but I'm sure that's okay. No, thank you. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here today on For Pet's Sake. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can catch our next episode. And of course, don't forget to follow Bella+Duke on all the usual channels like Instagram and TikTok. If you're considering a new diet for your pet, head over to bella+duke.com to get your own personalised nutrition plan.